Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner. Welcome to the members area. This is the third video of the month, and today I'm joined by Rico, my good friend from London, who co-founded Porky's Corner with me. How you doing, pal? All right.
Yeah, good, thank you. A bit hungover, but I'm all right. I'm surviving.
Rico's been having a few shandies, hasn't you, last night in Elephant and Castle?
Yeah, around that way. Yeah, pot the Elephant Castle. So yeah, home by 10, but still feeling. When you're in your mid 30s,
When I was
can't.
17, I used to go out with a girl from Parsons Green. That's near there, isn't
Oh
it?
yes, yeah, relatively near.
It's the
Like
quite.
Potney, near Potney. Yeah,
Yeah, it had like a little. There's a load of little tiny bridges that go over little rivers and that around there, isn't it? It's quite nice, isn't it?
it is nice. I mean, that's a nice area of London.
Yeah,
I mean, if you can afford to live there, then good on those people.
yeah, yeah. Well, everybody goes everywhere on tube down there, don't they, Rico?
Tubes and trains, yeah. Although it's quite quiet at the moment, it's not as busy as it used to be.
When I lived down there, when I left school, I used to, on my day off, I used to go walk up and down. Is it Cromwell Road? Or something that takes you up out towards Buckingham Palace, doesn't it? And
Yeah,
I used to go looking at all the cars and that they used to fly up and down there. I used to think, well, these are all right, some of these cars down there. There's a lot of money down there, obviously, isn't there?
yeah, it's a nice area. I mean, yeah, that part of West London's expensive. Nice.
But it's inch to inch, the traffic in it around there. It's not good for having a car, is it?
No, and also you like quite close to central London, so you
Yeah.
don't want to go central, otherwise you pay congestion charges.
Oh, I know about that, don't I?
Yeah,
When
you
I got
do, mate. You
a
do.
letter off Sadiq Khan. Did Sadiq Khan get in again as mayor?
Yeah,
Oh, God, how did he get in again?
not proper competition, is it? Nobody wants to be London mayor.
How's he get in there again? Oh, my God, man. Henry VIII will be turning in his grave, won't he?
You just annoyed because he made you pay congestion charges.
200 quid, mate, I had to pay.
Yeah,
Congestion, emission, and Dartford Tunnel all in space of an hour.
yeah.
I thought, well, isn't there supposed to be somebody on a toll taking money? You know, Northern are lost in London.
Yeah, no, it's all technology these days.
Yeah.
You can be driving and you don't realize, and then you end up paying something.
Yeah. Have you had that or any of your pals?
Yeah, a few of them, particularly if it's like a road is closed and they have to go another way. So it's not like you can just pay anywhere, isn't there?
Yeah. Can I just say a big congratulations to Simon, who runs the Porky's Corner.
Yes.
His girlfriend's had his wife, so he's had a baby.
Yeah, he messaged me just actually 10 minutes ago to say so good news and congratulations to him and his wife and the family.
Yeah, good luck to Simon. Yeah, get ready for some sleepless nights, young man. Let me tell you.
It's good when you're watching these American cards, though.
Yeah. But Simon, when you're telling me about having no sleep, remember that Big P's got twins, mate. I've been there, mate. I've seen it twice as worse. There's a lot going on in boxing. We'll cover a few things before we get to the sauna situation. Derek Chisora, you saw the fight, Rico?
I did. I think it's a pretty close fight. Again, like Parker's just awful to watch. I don't want to see him on my TV screen. He's unentertaining. He's not particularly good. So yeah, I think it was a close decision, but I don't think it was a robbery like Chisora seemed to think. But the scorecards again were pretty wide and not reflecting the fight.
Do you think that Joseph Parker will go down in history with Lucas Brown and Charlie Martin as the worst three heavyweight champions ever?
That's a stretch. I'm sure there were some guys that have had, Buster Douglas wasn't particularly great. Yes, he beat Tyson, but he wasn't good. But yeah, he's at the bottom end. I mean, at least for the last 20 years, I can't think of any worse heavyweight champions. Unless you start, Lucas Brown's another guy that, was he really a champion? Because then you'd have to say there's someone like Manuel Charles a champion.
Yeah, well, regular belt, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Parker and Charles Martin are some of the worst that we've seen hold the belt.
Yeah. What next for Derek Chisora? 11 losses. Where does he go now?
You know what? With this DAZN deal, obviously they don't have to do pay-per-views, so they can probably just wheel him out against somebody. Maybe they'll put him in against someone that they want to build. So it might be like if it might be like a Hergovich type or someone like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he fought Hergovich or, he fought somebody that was a younger heavyweight. Maybe he fights someone like Joe Joyce at some point.
Yeah. Well,
I personally wouldn't want to see him fight again, but he is going to fight. There's too much money to be made.
what next for Parker though, Rico?
Christ, I mean, hopefully nothing, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was a voluntary defense against somebody. I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say, Tyson Fury fought against him next. If he doesn't fight against Joshua, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Not one bit. I mean, he's mates with Tyson, isn't it? So him against Parker will be sort of a good fight, easy enough for Tyson to win. Both will get paid well. So I think that will be, and he's also, people in the UK know Parker, so, and even in the US, so it makes sense.
Do you think that Tyson and Parker would create a bit of fake beef?
Of course they would.
What about Dillian White calling out Chris Arreola? I mean, has this man got no shame now for picking on old fighters?
Well, Arreola lost to Ruiz, so I'm not sure why he would call out somebody. If you are the cam man and the most avoided one, why would he call out somebody that has just lost the fight? Why not fight against Andy Ruiz?
So they're saying to build it up, aren't they, on Sky Sports on their website?
Yeah, but build up Dillian White against Arreola to fight against Ruiz. Surely he should just go in there with Ruiz. I don't really know what the plan is with White, right? Like what does he want to achieve and what's the plan? Like where does he want to go? Because normally you'd be going up the rankings and forcing a mandatory, but in his case, it's like he just jumps from governing body to governing body, taking these tough fights.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. All right then. I did a video with Stu Curry, and I won't say there's a bit of beef, but where he went into bat for his guy who put his fighter in with, he's got this guy and who's got a fighter. He put him in with Campbell Hatton at short notice. The guy's a bantam, but he's been fighting at super bantam, and they let him jump up 3 weight divisions in fight week. Is that good for the sport? And I didn't agree with it, and I think he agreed with me. And fighters are not superheroes, are they? But who's signing off on these fights? The kid were 0-4, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that fight. I look, it's matchmaking. It's bad matchmaking. The country's full of people at different weight classes, so you don't have to fly people from abroad. And I don't understand why you'd get a guy like you can find a Northern 4 or Northern 5 guy in the appropriate weight division. So maybe they just trying to get Campbell Hatton a knockout. Like that's why they put in a guy that's a lot smaller. But I don't think that should be sort of sanctioned. It's not for any belts or anything, but I don't think the board should agree to let fights like that happen because it's not safe for the fighters. I mean, for the fighter from a lower weight class, is it?
What about Campbell Hatton now? He's fought 2 guys, 0-10 and 0-4. A kid jumping up 3 weight divisions. Well, technically 4, really. He's a bantam, but 3 weight divisions. He couldn't get either of them out there. I mean, where does he go now, Campbell Hatton?
Look, I don't mind. He's obviously quite a young guy and he's learning his trade, but he shouldn't be on my TV screen at 9:30, 10 p.m., should he? Like, I mean, any small hall guy, right? You'd be putting them in, if you're building a fight, you'd be putting them in against opposition like that, but you wouldn't have the same hype. So it's the same what they did with Conor Benn, right? Just padding his record when he was coming through. So he gets the experience and it's going to take years for him to step to sort of British level. But again, that doesn't have to be so prominent on television.
2 seconds.
No worries.
Sorry about that. Do you feel that Sky are not not narrating the proper story as regards Campbell Hatton, because he's got 20 defeats as an amateur, and they're saying he had no amateur fights and that, but I think he had 40 odd fights. Is he 20 and 20 or something as an amateur? But they're saying he's had no amateur fights and this and that. Do you feel that they're not telling the public the real story?
Well, they don't often go into amateur experience unless you know, an Olympian or amateur champion. But also, why does Sky care at this point? Because they have one more show left with Matchroom. They don't need to be selling the story. They don't need to be doing all this stuff. They just want to get these fights out the way and, you know, decide what they're going to do with boxing afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Does Campbell Hatton win a British title?
Depends, right, how he's matched, but from what I see, I'm not particularly convinced. But again, you have to think about it this way. A lot of the guys, they don't get the same opportunities that fighters like Campbell Hatton and Conor Benn get. So these guys have been, although they have limited amateur experience, or, you know, they full-time pros, aren't they? They've getting paid good money. They don't have to do a job and stuff. And some of these guys fighting at British level, you know, they will be doing jobs up until, you know, they won't be full-time athletes. So these guys have a lot, you know, they've got a lot of advantages. But again, are they going to take him down the British route? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, they'll probably go trinket route, won't they?
Exactly.
All right, then moving on then from the adventures of Tintin. Steffi Bull's been tweeting on Terry Harper's Twitter some pretty vile stuff in the last 24 hours, Rico. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been attacking Ellie Scotty for supporting Natasha Jonas, which I don't agree with at all. And also, we know that, you know, the story about Terry Harper is this humble fish and chip shop lady, and now she's tweeting like that. It's not exactly like it's reflective that she would tweet that herself. She might think it, but I wouldn't think she'd tweet it. But I think Steffi's trying to get some sort of thing. But for me, it's sort of backfired because people have been quite critical about him. And, you know, a lot of people like Ellie Scotty on Twitter because she's really funny. She engages with fans. And, you know, when you watch her, I think she's a good boxer. She's probably better than Terry Harper, personally. That's what I think.
Well, if you back up a little bit, when Terry Harper for Natasha Jonas, they had Joe Gallagher there and Steffi and Eddie Earn and that. And Steffi admitted that for the last few years he'd been running her social media. So why would he go and do that? I mean, that's not how Terry speaks. She don't conduct herself like that. So I kind of feel for her in a way, do you?
No, it's her own fault. If you're letting somebody else run your Twitter, then something like this could happen. You know, it's not it's not like, you know, she's agreed to this, right? Surely Steffi should be running these tweets past rather than just deciding what he does. But I think what he's tried really hard to make Terry Harper very popular, but I think it probably hurts to see how much people like Natasha Jonas. One, because she's got an exciting style. Two, she's articulate. You know, she's great for British female boxing in particular. And she's always in a good fight. And actually, she's come out a winner. If you think about where Terry Harper was when those two fought, if you're thinking about it now, Natasha Jonas is a lot more popular, a lot more adored. Nobody cares about Terry Harper. If she never fought again, I don't think most people would particularly miss her.
And basically, Natasha Jonas, obviously she looks the business and she's fantastic on TV for pundit work, isn't she?
Yeah, she's great. I mean, she's articulate. She's very good at breaking down fights. And I'd love to see her when she retires get a gig at DAZN and, you know, be there in that Anna Woolhouse role, because she can actually add to the conversation, not just ask questions, or maybe be one of the people ringside sort of giving some analysis on these fights.
I've been told Anna Woolhouse had her heart broke by Jamie Redknapp.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I don't know. So it's not looking good for Anna Woolhouse with men, is it?
It's not looking good for her job-wise either.
No, I don't think there'll be any. I don't think they'll be out there for Sky soon, you know. I think they're going to be
they'll move her somewhere else. She'll end up doing maybe netball or whatever else, you know.
Yeah.
I think she'll end up somewhere, but yeah, I don't think she ever added a huge amount into the boxing conversation.
Yeah. Dennis is signing, getting in with managers and signing kids to promotion deals. 4-round fighters, novices, and got quite a few signed. But if we back up to April 2015, when I first started with Dennis, I'm not saying this because I feel vindicated, but Terry knows that I first, after about a month of being with Dennis, I said, Dennis, looking at your stable, you're going to have to start and go and get some kids and start again. And then in 4 or 5 years, you can pluck them. Well, that was over 6 years ago. Do you think you might have finally listened?
I think it's it's logical. One, these guys are cheap, right? They card fillers. The other thing is with this fight academy thing, I think he has to have lots of fighters on the undercards because he doesn't have a deep stable, particularly at the top. So you can't have these same guys like Tommy Frank or Cash Ali. They can't be fighting 4 or 5 times a year. So you have to have these guys that you can just put on undercards and you can follow them. And when people are 0-0, they tend to be a lot more active. You're just padding their records out.
Yeah.
I think it's the right approach, though. I think it's the right approach.
Well, pull it off. We're going to see, aren't we?
Well, yeah, exactly. And, MTK have hundreds of fighters on their roster, for example. So you need to have lots of fighters to do lots of shows. If you think about Mick Hennessy, for example, he might have 15, 20 fighters. He can do a show every 2-3 months because he doesn't have any more than that.
Yeah. All right. Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury, they're in Dallas, strutting about, doing interview after interview. Tommy going on about Jake Paul, Tyson going on about Joshua, but they're not fighting. Are there more celebrities now than fighting? What's happened?
Yeah, you know what, Tyson. Look, Tommy Fury's always been, since the Love Island stuff, he's like a boxer / celebrity, right? He is there for a jolly. I think Tyson's there to support his mate. He also spends a lot of time in Vegas. I think he lives sort of half the year there, half the year in Morecambe, more or less. So I get why he's there. I mean, Tyson, the whole thing is, if the Joshua fight happens, whether it happens or not, I mean, they need to come to some sort of decision, because I imagine he might have to face Wilder if that doesn't happen, or, he might have other fights that he needs to take because he's been out of the ring for quite a while now.
Yeah, do you think Tyson might be rusty when he comes back?
Well, he's had layoffs before, right? So he had that 2 years, came back against novice opposition. But one thing I always think about Tyson Fury, he's one of those fighters that he fights at the level of his opposition. So if you put him in against a guy that is pretty uninspiring, he's not going to necessarily look great. Like, look at the Wallin fight, for example. So he probably is a bit rusty, but he's pretty quick at sort of getting back on him. I think it's part of the tactics as well for Team Joshua to keep Tyson, on the bench for as long as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo, that's out tonight, Rico. Well, 4 a.m. innit? So we've got another 12
Yes.
hours. We'll get predictions in. What's your prediction?
Canelo by stoppage.
I'm going to go Canelo points and a lot of screaming and ranting and raving, and Billy turning vile. And
I think Billy might get disqualified. He might get disqualified or quit. I wouldn't be surprised. If the fight's not going his way, he might just throw his toys out the pram.
Do you think that Billy's not mentally strong enough to handle a bad stoppage if he gets beat?
Well, it really depends on what your definition of mental strength is. But if Billy gets beat badly, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired.
Do you think if Billy gets beat, knocked out cold, he'll stand in the ring and lift Canelo's arm up and say fair play, or do you think he'll go other way?
Well, if he's knocked out cold, I don't think he'll be doing anything. Uh,
Once they've given him smelling salts.
yeah, but you know what? It's one of those things. Like, we have to be fair about this. It's one of those things with fighters. Why some people lose and they just go to a dressing room. They don't want to talk to anyone, and it's really down to your own personality. So I don't think we should expect anything in defeat. But it depends how he conducts himself afterwards, right? Does he, if he loses fair and square and gets knocked out, does he blame Canelo for mind games and, the smaller ring and, all those tactics? Or does he say that he was beat by a better guy? That's really where I kind of measure how a fighter handles defeat.
What do you see happening with Billy's relationship with Eddie Hearn if he gets beat tonight?
I think it's done. I don't think Eddie wants to have anything to do with Billy. Like, what's the value of Billy Joe Saunders if he gets beat? He's not a great ticket seller. He's not clearly a pleasant guy to be around or to deal with. He doesn't bring that many eyeballs. He's getting older. He's relatively inactive. He's quite expensive. So, if you get him to fight against somebody else from Britain, he'll be quite expensive. I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie just cut him or just wouldn't give him a fight for a long time.
Yeah, you think he'll send him on his way?
Yeah.
I do.
I just don't think it's worth. And you know what? I completely agree with Eddie on this. If you were in Eddie's position and Canelo beats Billy Joe Saunders, what do you want to do? Like, do you really want to be working with this guy?
Mm-hmm. If Billy Joe Saunders beats Canelo, obviously there'll be a Canelo rematch, won't there? He'll get mega money.
Yes.
And he'll be set up for life, won't he?
I think he probably already is.
Yeah.
Just by taking this fight, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean, though, don't you? He'll be
yeah.
Be set up.
Yeah, he'll get one. Yeah.
Do you see Billy going after him early, like he did Andy Lee?
I think he'll be wary about Canelo early. He'll be wary about the power, and I think he'll also want to get a few rounds in the bank. I think he'll want to outbox him and take a bit of a lead, and then, when it gets the longer the fight goes on, I think he'll sort of, maybe he'll get more desperate, and then maybe he'll go after Canelo later, because he knows that if it's a close point decision, he's not going to get it.
Do you feel that Amir Khan showed the blueprint how to beat him?
Yes and no, right? Amir is super quick, or was super quick, right? Amir was a 147 guy moving up. Yeah. It's not, that way how Amir boxed wasn't sustainable for anybody that's a 168 or 160 fighter. It's not like, somebody that's that's Billy's size can do what Khan did. So yes, he showed the blueprint, but you can't keep that up, right? You're going to have lapses of concentration. That's when Canelo's going to capitalize. He's a good counter puncher.
Obviously, they were going to walk, weren't they? They were unhappy. They were going home, this and that. But we've heard all that before with Chisora, haven't we? His mum ended up ringing in up Chisora's.
Yeah, so the story goes, right?
So the story goes. I mean, Chisora spins a story every fight week on pay-per-view week, doesn't he?
I know. I personally think with this whole ring size thing for Saunders and, everything else, surely that's all agreed in the contract anyway. So I don't know what was agreed in the contract, but it seems like things weren't particularly clear from the contract. So that's down to his management team, MTK, that if there's an issue with these things, I wonder why that wasn't in the contract.
I don't believe all that, that there were no ring size in contract, because I've seen enough boxing contracts, right, to know that it's always in the contract, the ring.
Yeah, same as the gloves, same as everything else, right?
So it's all on that section that you say. I think it's usually the third page. It tells you ring size, what agreed on, gloves, what make and choices, who walks first, who walks second, venue, things like that. So how a fight of this magnitude cannot have a ring size, I don't know. I think they've just tried to create a bit of fake hype. I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know. That's what I think anyway.
No, I agree with you. I agree. It's
a unification fight, and there's nothing in the contract, about ring size. Come on. They wouldn't, it would have been one of the first things they talk about. Styles, you've got the Bull, Canelo, the Matador, Billy Joe. The first thing Canelo's team would have said, oh, we want a smaller ring. The first thing Billy's lot would have said in negotiations, we want a bigger ring. The gloves
of course
would have been last.
Well, 100%. And also, if the contract says this is the ring size for the fight, then he can't sort of start stipulating, especially when the ring's not built, right? When the ring gets built, then you measure the size of the ring.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You want to make sure that there's none of that. You check the padding, you measure the size of the ring, that it's what's agreed in the contract. You don't get loads of foam padding so that Billy can't use his legs. So those are the kind of things that you want to check on the day, but everything's sort of agreed. So you're checking whether what's agreed is actually put in practice. And I agree with you. I just think it's all just chat. It's mind games. It's making the fight a bit bigger. I didn't feel the build up for this fight is probably what it deserved. I felt it was a bit flat, but now it's become a bigger story itself.
Do you think that's because there were no Sky involved?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. No Sky involved. So you don't have the main sort of, you don't get this adverts for it, right? Like you get targeted adverts on social media for it, and YouTube, you get a lot of adverts. Even when I was watching one of your videos, the advert came, Billy Joe against Canelo was advertised to me. Yeah.
You skipped it.
I did, of course. But yeah, I mean, look, without Sky, this is the other challenge that Matchroom have when they go to DAZN. It's harder to get the casuals involved unless it's a Joshua fight on DAZN or, really big British matchup, because part of the advantage of being with Sky is that your fights get advertised while there's the football on or netball or darts or whatever it might be.
All right. Okay then. Well. So your predictions: Canelo stoppage. I'm going to go for Canelo on points. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to caveat that I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Joe Saunders gets disqualified or quits. I just don't think when the going gets rough, I wouldn't be surprised if he just drew his toys out the pram.
I fancy the cheeky 20 quid on a draw.
Canelo doesn't get draws.
I know, yeah. Well, he's had them though, hasn't he? It passed.
Well, what was it? Was it CJ Hunter that gave Canelo a draw against Mayweather, if you remember?
CJ Ross.
CJ Ross, yes.
Yeah, I don't know what she was on, but whatever she was smoking, can you send me some CJ? All right then. Let's finish off on arse licking in the sport of boxing. It seems to be now the common thing for grown men to arse lick certain people for financial gain. And do you feel that it's now out of control? People trying to get themselves into certain situations by putting things on social media and basically just putting their tongue up grown men's hula hoops.
I don't think it's any different to what it's been over the last 2-3 years, right?
Yeah, but
it's exactly the same.
Now, though?
I don't think it's any worse or better. I just think it's always been pretty bad. Everybody just wants to be in Eddie's good books. And I think what's changed now is everybody's scrambling. You've mentioned this before. Everybody's scrambling to make sure that they'll be with Eddie at DAZN. Like everybody wants to be a part of Team Matchroom and, at DAZN, because a lot of these guys like Johnny Nelson and others, I mean, what's Sky going to employ them for?
Yeah, they're going to be.
Like you're not going to be a netball analyst as Johnny Nelson, are you?
Adam Smith is.
Adam Smith will be netball and darts.
Yeah, and London, a revolving reporter in London, wasn't he, last February? He went pandemic hit.
Yes.
I wonder what's going to happen to Bean. What do you think?
Well, I just said I think he'll be netball or darts. Wherever there's a slot, he'll be there.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen to David Allen, the White Rhino, with Dennis? Do you think that he'll stick it out with Dennis 6 fights like he said he is, or and just fighting nobodies, or do you think that Dennis will send him to America? Because there's a rumor doing rounds this morning that Dennis is trying to place him on an American show.
I mean, look, but what's the point of him coming back and fighting against 6 knockover jobs? Like, it's not going to make him money, and also, why would he do that, right? So, I think the plan is to probably give him a couple of fights to get a few wins under his belt and get some confidence and see how he feels, and he keeps training and stays on weight, and then maybe try and push him to go to the other corner and fight against some American guy, maybe fight against maybe on a Warren show or a Matchroom show or something, Fabian Wardley maybe down the line or someone like that.
I think that's an hard fight for Dave, Fabio Wardley.
Yeah, it is. It definitely would be. But he'd be the perfect opponent for Fabio Wardley, wouldn't he?
Yeah. If I want to get a DAZN app tonight, how do I go about it, Rico, if I can't get the fight? Is it still £2?
Yeah, still. I just got it this morning. Yeah, £2.
How do you do it?
Well, you can get it on your iPad if you have an iPad.
Yeah.
Or then you can, if you have a smart TV, you can search for the DAZN app on that.
I've got that on that,
Yeah, and then you just search for that, and then you just put your details into your email and password, and then your payment details, and then obviously the first month is free, and you can cancel within 30 days, or then it just keeps on taking. It's not free. No, it charged me the £2, but that doesn't matter.
I might get a link off somebody, because I get links, and I'd begrudge getting them anything, because they're going to put it up sooner or later, aren't they?
Well, but you can cancel. I think for £2, I just want, I want the ease, I want the quality, and also you can watch stuff back. It's got boxing documentaries there, or stuff build up for this fight. So, £2's not much, is it? So I think it's not like they're trying to charge us £20 for this fight, or you're not paying your Sky subscription, you're just paying £2 for something.
Okie dokie. All right then. Well, listen. Thanks for coming on, Rico. You've been
pleasure, my man.
You've been. We'll put this on members because it's flat predictions, but we'll do a proper one tomorrow or Monday if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do. Well, let's do sometime during next week. We'll look back on the fight. Let's see what the fallout is.
Yeah, what the fallout is.
Yeah.
There's bound to be some intense beef tonight if Billy gets jobbed or cards or out in it.
I mean, it's crazy what these British fighters, right? Everything's always like, if a British fighter loses, they get jobbed on the judges' scorecards, and then if that happens to a foreign fighter over here, so it's all about styles, and scoring boxing is hard, all the same nonsense that we always hear.
Yeah, rough, tough, rugged, durable,
all action,
compelling, added spice, sizzling. Yeah, Blue Ribbon Division. Welcome to the Blue Ribbon Division, Matt. Okay, then. Well, listen, you have a great day. What's left of it, Rico?
You too, my friend.
I'll catch you later.
All right, speak to you later. Don't have any nightmares. Cheers. Bye. Bye.
Oh, where's my mouse, Rocky? It's here. Well, that was my good friend Rico from Finland. Big Finland football fan. So my prediction, Billy Joe Saunders gets beat on points, 8 rounds to 4. That's my prediction. Whether the judges score it like that, I don't know. But I don't see Billy knocking out Canelo. Triple G couldn't knock him out, or Kovalev. And Billy's just been in with Martin Murray, hasn't he? He couldn't even get him out there, so do the maths. Peace out.